Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fabric Tech Talk Fridays. I'm your host, Patrick LeBlanc, and today we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Mark Kromer. Mark,
Hello, Patrick. How do you do?
joining us. So, Mark,
My
before we get into all of this stuff, why don't you tell the people who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so thanks for having me, Patrick.
Yeah.
And I'm Mark Kromer. I'm a principal product manager on the Microsoft Data Factory team. So that's part of Fabric, part of Microsoft Fabric, which is our latest incarnation of data analytics in the cloud within Microsoft. It is our SaaS version of all the awesome things we've done in Azure over the years. And I've been with Data Factory since we were Azure Data Factory 1.0. Back in the day, and brought us all the way to the point to where now Data Factory and pipelines and data flows and all those awesome things you do in an ETL pipeline are all now available everywhere, from ADF to Synapse to now Fabric.
Microsoft Fabric. Microsoft Fabric is SaaSified solution.
Exactly right.
Of all the things. And the foundation, when I think about Fabric, one of the things that I've been working on and was trying was building a Medallion architecture.
Yeah, really, really popular, by the way. I know this is not news to you, but when you are refining data to make it available for your business and your data scientists to be able to report and be able to make business decisions based on data, the Medallion architecture is really the best way to build that, so you can refine the data into the shape that needs to be used for the business.
Yeah. Kind of like the architecture that you see right now. This is Patrick's version of the Medallion architecture.
This is beautiful. I mean, this is a reference architecture for what we'd love to see customers do. And I love the fact that, you're building it on one lake and you're using pipelines to refine the data, which is part of our data factory. Absolutely. It's fantastic.
Since you're here and you've been working with pipelines for so long, let's take a look at one I built. Maybe you can give me some tips and some pointers how to make it.
Yeah, I'd love to.
All right, so just take a look. All right. And so let me show you. So to load my Medallion architecture, I use a pipeline to orchestrate all the movement. I have lots of notebooks.
That's fantastic,
that I created. And you can see right here, I'm loading my bronze, my silver, my gold, and I even chucked in a little.
This is great, Patrick. I don't mean to interrupt. I just want to point out a few things. So by the way, this is brilliant. Now, this is a really sort of beginner's kind of way to build your Medallion architecture with a pipeline like this. You'll notice that what Patrick has done, which is that he's connected all of the steps in this pipeline so that everything is sequential. You can also run these things in parallel. I think you've already seen this, where you can put your steps and your activities all at the same time. They don't have to run in sequence then.
Let me show you.
And he has an example of this.
I have an example. So you can see right here, actually, So the top area where you can see me process the channels, the videos, and the data flow runs, but this also runs at the same time, right?
Exactly, it does, yes. Yeah. They will kick off the first one, and then that one will kick off at the same time. And then what I really like about what Patrick has done here is using the power of notebooks and Spark, essentially the data engineering space within Fabric, as well as using part of Data Factory, which is the ability to transform the data without writing PySpark or Python or SQL even, and you use essentially the no-code, low-code interface of data flows, which he has in here as well.
Absolutely. So I had my Lakehouse built out, and I needed a new column added to a particular table. But instead of going to re-engineer that table and change a lot of code, all I did was create a new table that used values from one of the existing tables, and I did the concatenation, and I created a relationship from it, and now it's there.
You just drop a data flow on there, and you can do that in a couple of minutes. Right? You don't need to
literally minutes.
Yeah, you don't need to run or test code. So great use case. Data flows. And then if you go back to your initial pipeline, which if you see the pattern that Patrick has here, I love this pattern, right? This is essentially a parent-child pattern. You have a series of other pipelines that you are calling from a sort of a controller pipeline. And then you'll notice also what he's done is sending out a message partway through this, which is to send a Teams message. You can send Teams, you can send emails. All you have to do is you just drop that activity onto your pipeline canvas, and it'll be able to send that message. So it's super simple,
Now, let me tell you. So I'm not a Python guy.
Right.
And so I started working on this Medallion architecture, out of some type of ego. I was like, let me see if I could do this. I'm going to be honest with you, right? And so I started building it. I didn't think about why.
And you didn't use ChatGPT.
I didn't use ChatGPT at all. I went in. I went in and I wrote. I showed you all the stuff in the workspace. It was somewhat chaotic. I need to get some organization going on there, but it works and it's been running. If you look at the monitor section in Fabric right now, you can see it's all green. I showed you. It's a true end-to-end solution that
I can vouch for that. It is green.
In Fabric for a bit. So I decided to go home though. I decided to leave Python and go to my roots, go do a little SQL, a little T-SQL. I've been writing T-SQL for ages. And so I decided to switch up from the Lakehouse and take a more of a warehouse approach. Okay, so let me show you what that architecture looks like.
And what you're doing now, I'll say that that's really common too, is that, we have in the data engineering, data integration space, SQL is kind of that home base, right? It's the thing that's really comfortable. So we like the fact that you can do that or Python within Fabric.
And so you can see on this architecture, it's a little different. If you look at it, it somewhat resembles the Lakehouse, right?
Yeah.
Very similar. But what I'm doing is I'm landing the data from the API directly into folder section of the Lakehouse. And then I do some transformations and I write them to some tables in my Lakehouse. And then I use 3-part naming to query from the warehouse, from the Lakehouse in the warehouse. And then I do all my transformations using stored procedures.
Beautiful.
And you're gonna like this, Mark. Let me show you. And so what I did was, because I write SQL, I used a notebook in the warehouse. And I just said, all right, run this. Now this is gonna run in parallel. Okay? Right. It's gonna execute that stored procedure, execute that stored procedure. So I need to figure out how can I run these, all concurrently at the same time.
Okay, so in your pipeline, if you go back to your pipeline, let me see how you invoked these stored products. I want to see this.
So there you go. It's one that calls my Python notebooks.
Yeah.
And then it's another one that calls my warehouse notebook.
Super simple, and I love the fact that what I think this demonstrates is that we make it really easy to orchestrate these things within Fabric and Data Factory in particular. Now, one thing I want to point out to you is that you don't even need to use a notebook to do that. So if you had those stored procs in your data warehouse or even in your database, it doesn't have to be the data warehouse, but you had a stored proc that you wanted to run. Let me show you something. Take that last notebook there and click on that for a second for me. And see that green arrow?
I do.
Click there, you're going to see a toolbox now. Now, if you start typing in, or if you look for stored proc, you'll see that we actually make it super simple to just call the stored procs here. And if you wanted to run those in parallel, use the same technique you used in the other pipelines, and you can add a stored proc below that as well, so they can run in parallel as many as you like. All
right, I'll have to come back and do a video when I get the figure. Okay.
Yeah, and then it's big. And one more thing I'm going to show you too, since we're here, is if you do that again, instead of putting in stored proc, look for scripts. There's also the ability to call an ad hoc SQL script. So you can just write your SQL down there. You just have to have your connection, and then you'll see a box where you can start typing in your SQL. Now, this is useful if you have a situation where maybe you don't have the permissions to create a stored proc, right? We love the fact that you can pre-compile those as a stored proc, but if you can't, you just write your ad hoc here. And this has all of the parameterization available to you that a pipeline has. So you can essentially just send that script in or create the script on the fly dynamically as well. So that's powerful too.
So I got a lot of work to do. I got a lot of work to do. It's a little more efficient and run fast. But the great thing is we've built this enterprise-ready solution on top of Fabric. And we use pipelines directly in Fabric to orchestrate all the movement of my data.
So basically what you've done is you have created a medallion architecture so that you can provide different parts of your business to the different levels of data access that they need, from the gold to the silver and whatnot. And you do that using ETL. So this is all ETL pipelines that you're seeing on the screen right now. And then all of the different things that are part of Fabric that Patrick has shown today, which is things like the SQL scripts, the notebooks, data warehouse, Lakehouse, that is all orchestratable, if you will, if that's a word, from the Fabric pipeline within Data Factory. All the different things, he's showing a few that are, that we showed a few that are on the screen in terms of the different activities you can add. You could call something from your Custo, from your Data Explorer. You could call something from your data warehouse, your database, all within the pipeline.
It's amazing. It's remarkable. All right, Mark, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to come hang out with us and teach me a little bit about pipelines. I appreciate that.
Beautiful.
And thank you all for taking time out of your day to hang out with Mark and I. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, you know what to do. Post it in the comments below. If this is your first time visiting the Fabric YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. And if you like our video, give it a big thumbs up. And as always, from Mark and myself, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next Friday.
Thank you everyone for watching. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to hit that like button.
If this is your first time visiting the Microsoft Fabric YouTube channel, be sure to smash that subscribe button.
Drop a comment below on what you would like to see on the future episodes of Fabric Tech Talk Fridays.
That's it for today. See you all next Friday for another deep dive into Microsoft Fabric.